Palestine is actually one of the most open places, especially in the West Bank. Like, women can walk around not having to wear the hijab or anything. So, like, we were never, or at least I was never raised thinking that you had to dress this way, you had to cover up completely and all this. Because Palestine's just not like that. It's very open. You have churches right next to mosques. You know, everyone's just kind of open and no one really judges you. I mean, it is kind of weird to see a girl walking down the street with her hair down and, like, you know, some legs showing, but it's not like comparing it to, like, Saudi Arabia, where they're, like, forced to cover, and it just puts a bad name on everyone.
Well, I've been to the Middle East quite a number of times. I lived in Syria for a little bit after Iraq, before we came here. I came here when I was 5. Okay. But I did go back to visit Syria a few years ago before, like, it got really bad. Mm-hmm. And after living in a, like, first world country, going to a third world country is not a good idea. It's a very, like, culture shock, because, you know, you're just not used to that life anymore. Like, I mean, I guess I never really was. And I was younger too. Like, it wasn't even this age where, like, I definitely, like, matured physically and mentally, but it was like I was younger and they were so objectified, and, like, I considered myself a child at that time. So it was just kind of really, like, nasty how, like, the men treated any women, like they didn't have any rules. I guess there was no real rules. Like, they just, like, grabbed you or something, and it was honestly, like, a bad experience. But women aren't as appreciated as they are here. After being so Americanized, you just can't go. It's really hard to see what they do, how they treat women, like, whatever. We're just used to more equality. And I mean, I've been to Dubai, but they're very Americanized too, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, I guess I've never been back to Iraq because it's kind of dangerous, but my dad goes back and he tells us about it. I am proud to be an Arab Muslim, though. Like, that is something, you know, it has its ups and downs, because, like, there's always these stereotypes and whatever, but it is something I am proud of. It makes me who I am.
What I would say I have a strong opinion on would be, like, just the hypocrisy, like, between the men and the women. Like, you know, men can basically do whatever they want, and women aren't allowed to, and if they do, they're just, like, they're shunned. They're just, like, you know, your parents shun you. It's embarrassing. They can't, like, show their face around family. That's if you do anything. And honestly, even having a boyfriend could do that to you. You know, if our parents found out that you were dating someone, especially someone who wasn't, like, Arab, like, if you were dating, like, any other race, they would go crazy. It's crazy because here's like the big spectrum. They want you to date a Muslim, but not just any Muslim. They want you to date an Arab Muslim, but not just any Arab Muslim. They want you to date a Palestinian Arab Muslim, but not just any Palestinian Arab Muslim. They want you to date someone who's from the West Bank or from your village, because someone who's from Jerusalem or from the Quds, and it's not like, it's so crazy. It's like, you want a Muslim, but then they're just, like, slowly, like, making the category smaller for us. And I don't know if it's like that for everyone, but it's there. But, like, guys can marry, like, a white girl. No one will care because they're guys. And, you know, same with, like, sex. It's, like, it's a big thing, you know. It's, like, it's a huge thing. If they find out a girl is having sex, you're done. Like, seriously, your reputation is over. You're done. Like, at least with your family, you'd have to, like, go find your own life because your family won't talk to you.
People should not confuse Islam with oppression. That's not what we're about. You shouldn't even confuse being Arab with oppression. Being Arabic is not a burden on me. Neither is being Muslim. While I question some of the norms that I was raised with, especially in, like, the dating world and seeing people in a different light, and sometimes judging people too harshly because of the way I was raised, I would never take it back. Because while I'm not faithful to my religion as much as maybe the average Muslim, or as much as my father or my mother would want, I know that it is not equal to oppression. The context that people take it in gets to extremes. And because of generalities and stereotypes and ignorance, we get these horrible norms thrown at us that are not even true. So if you really want to be a more intelligent, well-rounded person, you should think of Islam as a separate entity from what you hear on the news. And look into it by yourself. Also look into the Middle Eastern culture because it's beautiful when it's not corrupted. That's all I want to leave you with.